Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you as always for tuning back in. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Leila, the Lenormand Reader, and I'm one of the few people who focuses almost exclusively on the Lenormand practice. Today I want to focus on mute cards. Recently, I sent out a survey asking you to tell me what you thought were the mutest of Lenormand's cards. And just as a reminder, a mute card is a card that doesn't seem to say much. Now, typically when we say a card or some cards are mute, it is in the context of a reading where it doesn't sound like the cards are saying so much. It's not clear what the reading is telling us. But before we get to a reading, before we do any layouts, there are some cards in the Lenormand deck that seem to be a little bit mute, especially when we're first getting to know the deck. We're not clear what to make of them. They don't stand out like other symbols like the clover and heart and ring, which speak very clearly. So I ran this survey and it came back pretty much as I expected, and I think as you would expect. So I have some numbers here I want to share with you based on the survey. The mutest of the cards is the lily, and the lily got 71.4%. The second most mute card is the tower. The tower got 60%. The third one was the tree. 45.7% responded that the tree is a mute card. Number 4 is the moon at 42.9%, and number 5 is the mountain at 34.3%. After these top 5 mutest cards, the other cards are sort of similar. Most people don't feel they're too mute. So for the purpose of looking at the mute cards, I'm going to stick with the top 5, the lily, tower, tree, moon, and mountain. And in this video, we're going to cover the first 2, and in part 2 of this mute cards exploration, we're going to do the next 3. So this video is lily and tower, and part 2 will be tree, moon, and mountain. So let's go ahead and get into the lily, the mutest of the cards. And honestly, folks, I agree. I think the lily is pretty mute, but I also feel that the moon is pretty mute for my part. So I've got my own deck here, and I've got here the Red Owl deck, and I also have the guidebook of the Red Owl deck. We're going to look a little bit at some interpretations, and we're also going to look at a couple of other resources that I'm going to pull up with my phone so we can explore a little bit what is the meaning of the lilies, its scope. So starting with the Red Owl deck, and the Red Owl deck is one of the oldest decks we know along with the Blue Owl, and I've reviewed these earlier. I will link the reviews. So on the Red Owl deck, we have quotes that are associated with each card. And if you don't have this deck, can't get one, I do have a free resource for you where I've compiled all of the Red Owl quotes that you can refer to, and these are shared with permission from AGM Urania. So the lilies card, this is a quote of the lilies card. It says, "The lilies overhead of purest virtue speak. Lilies underfoot will mean that penance one should seek." Now when they say whether the lily is overhead or underfoot, what they mean is if the lily is above or below the significator card in a grand tableau. And there are some cards that have different meanings depending on where they are in a tableau relative to the significator. And the significator is either the man or the woman as representing the readee. Now, I personally don't really follow these occasional positions above, below, sideways. I just go with the combinations and I read the lines, but you might find it interesting, and I do think that some authors pick up this traditional interpretation. Regardless though of where the lily is situated relative to the significator, we can tell from this quote that the lilies is a reference to virtue. It says, "The lilies overhead of purest virtue speak, and underfoot will mean that penance one should seek," which means that one should seek fairness. And so whether it's above or below, positive or negative, the common ground is that it's a reference to virtue. Let's look at the guidebook that comes with the Red Owl deck, and it's also the same one that comes with the Blue Owl deck. So the Lily says here, this card signifies a happy and virtuous life. When this card is above the key, it reveals good disposition and outlook for the questioner. If the card is below the key, it forebodes uncertainty, grief, and possibly domestic troubles. So this is a very specific combination with the key, and I think that you can make similar interpretations with other cards. But the first line, it says this card signifies a happy and virtuous life. So again, there is a reference to virtue. Now let's look at a couple of other authors. I am going to pull up the one by Caitlin Matthews in her handbook. She suggests the Lily is the card for age, peace, protection, and maturity. And it can also mean the welfare of the family, by extension, social work. And Caitlin Matthews tells us that the Lily gives us cleanliness or purity, again in alignment with this purest virtue element that we see here traditionally in the Red Owl deck, which is why brides carry lilies and why they are the flowers most associated with funerals. I think it is not so much the virtuous element, I think it is there, but there is also that element of life changes and life milestones that we associate with the lily, which is why we use it in funerals and in other major occasions in life. Caitlin Matthews also adds that the lily is the card of the father and grandfather or an older man. And actually the pip card that is associated with the lily is the King of Spades, and that is the reason why. And also the lily is sometimes associated as it's associated with sexuality. Here Caitlin Matthews states that some Lenormand schools see the lily as sexuality, meaning a meaning that is derived from the erotic perfume of the lily, but this would be comfortable, familiar sex or relations between faithful partner, since the lily also has the meaning of constant or chaste from its reputation for purity. So you see here, Caitlin Matthews does the correct association between virtue on the one hand and sexuality on the other hand. So the reason these two seemingly unrelated elements are associated with the lily is because of an older interpretation of these relationships. And previously, virtue and chastity were pretty much one, and it was virtuous to be chaste. So that's why sexuality is often associated with the lily. But I think that bringing the lily into today and even into sexual relationships, there is a bit of a contrast in between the fact that the lily is a card of longevity and it's a card of seniority and maturity, as opposed to flirting or dating or casual relationships, right? So any relationship, sexual or otherwise, that we are going to associate with the lily is going to be of the more serious type. That's why I personally feel that sex, as in just sex, is not really the card of the lily. It's rather the quality of the relationship, sexual or otherwise. The lily brings a quality of steadiness and commitment and the idea of the long term. But again, we see with Caitlin Matthews many of the keywords that are typically associated with the lily. The idea of peace, calm, old age, again this idea of seniority, maturity, and so on. Let's move on to Rana George. So Rana George offers similar ideas that we associate with the lilies. She says the card represents maturity and wisdom. It shows someone with gray hair, again this association with someone older. It also denotes happiness and protection. It is usually attributed to an older man, again because of this King of Spades here. But it can show up for a female as well, I agree. And Rana George also adds that because the lily card stands for maturity, it corresponds with all things needing a gestation period or time to mature, to develop, or to grow. And so the lily stands for longer periods of time. It also brings peace, tranquility, and serenity. So you can see here that just from looking at a few authors, a few ideas, and Rana George and Caitlin Matthews are really well-established authors in Lenormand. So the idea of the lilies is that element of peacefulness, tranquility that comes with a sense of maturity and the sense of confidence that comes with time. So it doesn't have to be a complicated card. It can just suggest that aspect of being established, of being mature, of being more senior. It also brings a quality of peace. So it really helps you find your ground, slow down, be more contained, be more mature when you're dealing with any situation as can come up in a reading. For my part, because of all of these ideas that we associate with the lily, the idea of the long term and things like that, I tend to see the lily as longer phases in life, and it also points to this idea of the life path and where things are heading. So when I see the lily in a reading, I tend to associate it with a phase of life. And I find that this idea, simple idea of a phase, combines really well with just about any card. I'm going to go through several combinations right now, but before I do, I also want to add that the lily having to do with old age and seniority, I feel can be associated with health. It is not the standard way I look at the lilies. For me, health is more strongly associated with the coffin and tree, but the lily can also represent health at times. So let's go through a few combinations here. I'm just going to pick up the deck and see what else we can, how we would combine the cards, the lily with all of these cards. And I want to say that when you do card combinations, they help you get a better sense of what a card means. Sometimes when you practice combinations, it gets you thinking about the essence of the card meaning, not just the combination meaning. So don't just examine what the card means by looking at different authors, but also think about the different combinations the lily combines with, and use these combinations as a way to reflect back on the essential meaning of the lily. So let's look at some combinations here. The lily and stork would mean changes, possibly life changes. The bird and lily, I would say it points to an important conversation. It can also be a sense of anxiety about where life is heading. The flowers and lily is a very bright combination, suggesting a happy time in life. Same with the clover. The lily and tower, and we are going to look at the tower in a bit, clearly points to the long term. This can even be the lifetime. The man and lily points to someone who is mature, possibly also someone professional. The whip and lily points to challenges, a challenging phase, possibly a rocky kind of foundation, and possibly also issues with health. The anchor and lily clearly points to pursuing the current path we're on and to establish ourselves. It is a very good combination for being established and having really good foundations. The coffin and lily can point to the end of a phase or possibly illness or maybe a time when not much is happening. The moon and lily, and the moon is another one of those mute cards. It can point to a phase of life or a change because of the phases of the moon. So this can be an evolution. The snake and lily can be a tricky combination, but I think it does bring wisdom, the idea of being calm and calculated, and also being aware that there are some people who could be playing to win. So when I see the lily and snake together, it really points to this wisdom that involves silence and diplomacy and discretion. The sun is another positive card, very obvious. The lily and garden can be a professional environment. It can also be something like a hospital, but it could also be in a metaphorical sense where one is established. The lily and the book, I feel, has much to do with learning and knowledge and possibly expertise. The fish and lily is a lucrative career. It can also be a sense of financial independence. The lily and mountain can be a life abroad. With the cross can be important life decisions. The family home with the house. With the fox, it can refer to the job. With the heart, it can point to, well, and the heart and ring, let's look at this triplet. It's definitely a relationship, a committed relationship. Without the ring, it could be happiness and a sense of fulfillment. With the mouse, it can be a bit of a bumpy phase, maybe not feeling too well, maybe having some doubts about life in general, that sense of not feeling too easy. But again, the mouse is not very dramatic. The ship and lily can point to the life direction in a metaphorical sense, or possibly going somewhere, maybe for the longer term. Migration, immigration, and moving countries can also be suggested, although I think being a bit specific, maybe more cards is a good idea here. The letter and lily can be legal, anything legal, administrative, or something that's pretty serious in terms of communication and documents. The dog and lily can be the senior-junior contrast, so this can point to your kids or people who are younger than you, or maybe someone who is learning the ropes to become more senior. So this can be a good combination for mentorship. The rider and lily is great for that sense of direction and life goals. The woman is like with the man. The scythe and lily would be a radical change. And some people read this as challenging. I would want more cards to suggest that. But if we were going to look at the scythe, as a challenging card by itself, this can point to some danger here, or a risky situation, or possibly something that is falling through, that is broken off. The child and lily is wonderful for, I would say, possibly pregnancy. Also the idea of a new phase, a new direction, and of course this can point to children. I would say also grandchildren would be well represented by this combination. The bear and lily can point to parents, seniors, anyone who is in a position of leadership. The bear is typically the mother, the house is typically the father. See how you like these nuances. The clouds, a bit like with the mouse, some challenges here. The life path, represented with the road and lily. Another beautiful combination for growth and evolution with the tree, and with the star, wish fulfillment and life goals. And I would say with the key, this too can apply. Some breakthroughs here, lots of success, but also I think a sense of self-reliance and resourcefulness. So you see, with a bit of practice, we can come up with some pretty good combinations, and the lily does not have to be, so obscure. So do read a few resources, do make up your mind about the scope of the lily, but I think the idea of peace, tranquility, and for my part, the idea of a life path and a phase works really well in combinations.